My understanding is that just out there is the East India trading dock or something or the other in it. Oh, it's gone. Oh, hello. No, out there is the East India Trading Company somewhere used to hang out. Now, so has everybody got a little example or two of some kind of negating negations? Hello, my friend, welcome back. He left his coat on the back of the chair. People leave and come and go, and that's okay. When people leave their coat on the back of the chair, one expects them to come back, unless they've gone to a charity shop and bought one for about £1 with a view to putting it on the back of said chair, with a view to escaping and pretending that they're going to come back with them. So, not that I've ever done that in a restaurant. Now, okay, so that would be then the negating negations. And the next part that we're going to mingle and interweave with that is the next bit, which is repetition of concepts. So repeating conceptual repetition type language. So there's something funny happens when we hear concepts over and over. For example, if I was to get you all to do an exercise and I was to ask you that what I wanted you to do was to write down the left-hand side of the board, so the right side was left. Blank, right? You get where I'm going. Examples, cause and effect. Oh, we're going to have a play with those. Where's my pen? There it is. Never a pen when you need one. So let's imagine that there is a problem. And of course, we all know that problems may have a cause or two. Maybe one, maybe more. Let's have 3. And each of those causes may well have a root cause, or even causes of the cause. You might be able to determine where I'm going in just a moment with all of this. Whoops. But of course, we also hope that if we have a problem, what is it on board the Black Pearl? What is it? We don't really talk about problems. What do we talk about? Before we talk about options. So this is where we are now. This is where we're trying to get to. Outcomes. So we'll have outcomes. Thank you very much. What is it about those funny devices that when you go to switch them off, because often when you want to switch off one of the said wiggly devices, that you usually want it to be quiet in some way, and yet so many of them, when you switch them off, have a sort of habit of making a lot of a song and a dance as they go. Have you ever noticed that? In the cinema or wherever you might be watching certain films that there's been 4 of. Now, so we can even have options as well, and of course we can have solutions. So if we were to intermingle and play around with some of these, and I'm just making this up a little bit on the spot, that it might be that the cause of the problem is not necessarily the cause of the root cause, but it might be the cause of the outcome, which then, the options of the outcome, is not necessarily a problem, because the cause of the solution might not necessarily be the outcome we were looking for. Did you follow that? If you did, you're cleverer than I, because I was making it up as I went along. You get the general idea. So if you have a few, pretty much all of those are fairly conceptual, but this is when you start interweaving those and mingling them around, you can create some sense of confusion. So that's another example. So we've got our lefts and the rights, and that seems to create all sorts of interesting chaos for some people. Some people don't actually necessarily know their lefts and their rights. My first mate over there, for example, isn't always 100% clear on the lefts and the rights. So we've had some interesting turns as time's gone on. Just kidding, first mate. Now, time. Oh, isn't it? Time is another one. And marvellous, mysterious. What happens when we begin? I'm just imagining that there was a line of time here. And what happens at that point where we're going to the future? And the present future, looking back at the present over there, which is now in the past, this starts to get a little bit interesting. And of course, sometimes we talk about the point in the present that if we're, let's say, looking back along the past, that just before an event actually happened, so it's actually in the future of the past, that's the point where if we can get to that place, then if there was a problem in the first place, all of that stuff, if there was a problem in the first place, it's disappeared. Because if we go beyond the point where we were in the present, were we not? So we're in the present, looking back at the past. But if we go beyond the point in the past that we were talking about, we're now, the past is in the future. But if we went into the future, that's all long past now. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Some of that can get a little confusing as well. And I'm sure that some of you will be most magnificent at your temporal language. Okay, so time. The other one that's quite a popular one is relations, and when I say relations I mean relationship relations, family, familial type things. So for example, my grandfather's daughter had a cousin twice removed. Try following that one. One of the things I've never been sure about with regards to cousins and these first removed and second removed, you'd have thought that a cousin second removed would have got the message the first time. Stayed away. They're off.